Perhaps the most heated market for electric SUVs is within the VW group itself. You've got this, the CUPRA Tavascan, you've got the VW ID4 and 5 if you want the coupe version, and then you've got the Audi Q4 e-tron, and you've also got the Skoda Enyaq. So is this the most fun, the best version that you can get? What do I think? And what about that amazing interior? Is this car as cool to drive as it is to look at? Well, we'll find out later on in this video, but let's first of all look at all of the cool features on this car, because there is a lot. These are my top features of the CUPRA Tavascan. This amazing scoop design on the bonnet. It doesn't do anything because it's an EV, but it looks really cool. The light up logo, I love that. The design, I mean, come on. The design is fantastic. And if we're talking about attention to detail, I love the little triangles inside here, and they're actually layered too. There's 4 on top of each other, and they all have little triangles inside each other. Amazing. When charging, you've got this green light at the top, which lets you know it's on and charging. And when you lock the car, and you can see on the screen in the middle, it gives you all the information to let you know your current charge. And then if you lock the car, the light stays green. This feels special. And every car that is pretending to be a sporty car or is a sporty car should look special on the inside, because you spend more time on the inside than on the outside. Now, CUPRA used to be a sub-brand of Seat, a lot like RS is to Audi or BMW M is to BMW. But they decided to break it out into its own full brand. It also means it has its own vehicles, just like this, which is its own thing within the CUPRA brand, and is a really interesting car. I really like this car. One of the coolest things about this car is that we've got vents down here, just like you get on a Porsche GT3. Not only does it look very cool, but it adds to the imposing nature of this car. And let's be honest, if this had a Lamborghini badge on the front, you wouldn't have any trouble believing it was a Lamborghini. Look at this front of this car. I mean, it is absolutely purely aggressive. Now, these are quite rare on the roads in the UK, and that's a shame. But it means that whenever I drive past anybody, they're looking at this because they don't really know what's going on here, because it just looks so unique. This has got kind of a mask design, a bit like on the new Audis, but it just is so aggressive. I absolutely love the copper contrast on the CUPRA and on the badge at the top. I think it's really good, and those continue to the inside too. The way there's so many little details, even inside the lights, the 3 triangles that make up the CUPRA daytime signature lights now all have little triangles inside them. How's that for detail? Even down here, these vents have accents in copper. It just looks incredible. It really does. This is so imposing, and this logo lights up at night as well as a light under here. It's just very futuristic and cool looking, and actually I would say it matches exactly how I would like my cars to look. I think this looks incredible. Let's talk about the technical side of these cars. So this is the V2 model. There's also a V1 model and a VZ version as well, which is the fast version. This is a rear-wheel drive model with 286 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 6.8 seconds. We'll test that later, although I can't promise anything because it's not exactly summertime here, so the road isn't great for speed testing. And also, the other thing is, it's very well spec'd. Now, if you want to go up to the 340 PS version, 340 horsepower version, you can do that as well. That has a faster 0 to 60 time, which is around the 5.5 second mark. So there are some options here. The V1 model has about 352 miles of WLTP range. The V2 model has around 330 miles of WLTP range. And if you go up to the VZ models, then they have slightly less range, around the 300 mark. So it's a question of, do you want performance or do you want range? Although, I'll be honest, I'm not sure the difference between range between 300 and 330 is that much in the real world, because remember, WLTP is never exactly what you get in the real world. I have to say my pick of the models is probably this model, the V2 model, because it's got loads of standard equipment which is missing from the V1 model. It's a compromise between range and speed, and it's definitely not a slow car. But if you want the performance, that's also available to you. The V1 starts at around £47,000. This model is spec'd is about £53,000. And if you want to go up to the VZ model, it comes in around £63,000. There aren't a huge amount of options as you go up in the range because it's all really, really well spec'd. So if you buy one of the higher spec models, you're getting pretty much everything. The only thing you need to choose is the color. This is the free color, which is Atacama Desert, and it looks great. Normally free colors don't look good. I have to say with CUPRA, their base colors look incredible, just like they're not base colors look incredible, and I really like that. There's no boring colors on CUPRA. They always have a twist on something which is a bit more exciting. There's no funk on the Tavascan, which is a lot like lots of modern cars now, if I'm honest, which are EVs. I think funks are becoming more of a rarity than they were when EVs first started. Look at the way this is done. This is to support the design here with the scoops, and it basically has 2 levels to the bonnet. I mean, that's a lot of detail. That's probably not cheap to do, and yet they've done it. And that, I really like that attention to detail. And yes, I almost got my finger caught in the little scoop here. I think CUPRA knock it out of the park with wheels, just like Genesis do, and these designs are fantastic. 21 inches here, 19 inches as standard on the V1, but from everything else you get these 21-inch wheels. There are some different designs, but again, the copper contrast looks fantastic on these wheels. Really, really nice design. And these are quite sporty wheels too. They're Continental wheels, and they look the part too. Really, really love this design. And again, this whole copper contrast thing is amazing throughout this entire car. Now, if I walk backwards here like Michael Jackson doing a moonwalk, we can see the side profile of the car. So this is a coupe design, and I really, really like it. Again, the back of this car feels very much like, actually, it reminds me of the Genesis GV60. You can check out my video on that. And when we open the doors, one thing I'm not a big fan of is the fact these are door handles which don't actually move. The button is on the inside. This is a VW ID4, ID5 feature. I don't like that. I prefer it when they open. Again, a little thing. The other thing I don't like is how pointy these windows are. I mean, look at that. Yeah. Again, it's a really silly little thing, but I don't like that. However, it does go in line with the overall design philosophy of this car, how it is and how it looks, and it fits in place with that. So as a package, it's all right. I'm also not a huge fan of the fact it's just rubber around the doors here. I feel like that's skimping a bit on quality, but what I would say is I'm nitpicking at these things because everything else on this car is incredible and I love it. So I'm being fair and honest. If it had more sophisticated door surrounds, would it make a difference to me buying this car, or to you? Probably not, but I'm just pointing it out, or definitely not, but I'm just pointing it out. Inside here, very spacious. I'm 1.78 m. I've got a lot of space above my head. I got a lot of space in front of my knees. This panoramic roof makes it really airy in here. These seats, yes, I know, they kind of block the view in front, but because they're sort of triangular shaped, the bucket seats, you actually have a nice view in between them. We've got a vent here with controls for heating and cooling. We've got 2 USB Type-Cs there. Again, the detail in these seats, the little triangular logos on the seats, amazing. This pulls down as well, like I mentioned already. You've got cup holders too, and the doors themselves, yeah, just everything feels great. We've got decent space here to put something in, and we've got a really great speaker system. Very nice in the back here. At the back of the Tavascan here, the cool design continues, and again, I feel a bit like I'm looking at a Lamborghini from the back. We've got a little area here where it kind of has like a cutout into the back here. We've got a little spoiler on the back there, and then this is my coolest thing that I like about this car. It's this light bar which goes all the way along the back, and not only that, if you look at it really carefully, you can see that these LEDs are actually behind each other, so there's depth to that, and it goes all the way along the back, and you've got the CUPRA logo lit up too. I really, really, really like the whole aesthetic of this car. It definitely has the sporty EV with its own personality vibe going. Big CUPRA letters again on the back. Just the whole car is very cohesive as a sporty, fun-looking car. Does it drive sporty? Is it actually a sporty car? We'll find out when I take it for a drive, but it looks the part. The way I choose a car is by how cool I look when I'm sitting in the back. What do you think? Do you think I look cool? Anyway, ignoring that for a second, 540 litres back here in the rear of the CUPRA Tavascan, which is lots of space. We can lift up the floor here as well, and there is space under here. It's actually an artificial floor where you can put the charging cables, but you could actually remove this and have a bit more space too. We've got lots of nice deep pockets down the side here, which is great. And we've got hooks and we've got tether points, and the seats do go down, and you can even split them 60-40, so you can put stuff on one side, and there's even a center pass-through. So there's a lot of space in the back of the CUPRA Tavascan. And it's also got an automatic closing tailgate, which I always appreciate. Now, if you're going to see one area of this car which makes you go, wow, it's not actually the exterior which does it, although you do go, wow, it's the interior that does it, because this is a totally different design from any other car that VW Group has ever made. It's very much on brand with CUPRA, but it looks so good. First of all, we got this spine in the middle. This actually reminds me of the bridge of the Starship Enterprise D. Sorry. It just looks awesome. I really like this. And actually, if you're driving and you need something to hold on to, you can actually hold on to the center bit. Not that you need to do that, but it's actually something which you can grab onto. Might be great if you're driving sporty and your passenger isn't very happy and they need something to hold on to. Maybe that's why they put it in there. I don't know. We've got 2 cup holders. We've got a massive space here you can put stuff in. We've got a wireless charger down here, which is both cooled and very, very accessible. And there's a little tray here, space for more as well. And again, all through this interior, we've got this contrast copper, which looks amazing. And then how could I ignore this 15-inch display, which is standard on these cars. It looks incredible. Now, this infotainment system is a really, really good system. It's very fast. I can swipe through the settings really quickly. I can go to the car. If the ignition is on, then it will give me access to this. I can go back out of it. I can go to the overview, which gives me the view of where I am and what's going on and my battery and my charge. It's really, really easy to use, which is great. It's fast. Got Apple CarPlay or Android Auto if I want to, and I can access everything on here. So I love how responsive it is. As far as your climate controls are concerned, you can change it by using these buttons at the bottom, and you can see it shows it on the screen as well. And I can press the climate button to go in or out and turn it on and off. So it's an easy system to use. We've got little shortcuts up here, so I can go and see my parking cameras, what's around me. I can go to my battery settings, and I can add to this as well, whatever I want within the choices here, including my drive profile. However, I have a drive button on the steering wheel, so that isn't really necessary, but you have that option. Looking at vehicle settings, we have a very easy way of seeing our choices for driver assist. We see driver assist, vehicle status, driving data. Parking assistance will show us the parking assistance are on. Smart assistance will show us the settings for the driving assist. The travel assist, for example, with assisted lane changing, auto hold, lane assist, adaptive cruise control, is really nicely and easily laid out, which I really, really like. And that's a whole thing with this car. Click on status, it shows the current status. Click on vehicle, it shows our headlights, mirrors, comfort light, tires. We can twirl the car around, and on the interior we can control things like you can open and close the cover from here. There's also a button up here. I like the fact that you can do that from that control. The instrument cluster, we can reset it. So everything is easy. The head-up display, augmented reality as well, which works with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. When you have directions, it will actually show in the head-up display, which is really good too. So I think this is a very good infotainment system, and I'm really happy with how it works. Wireless Android Auto, wireless CarPlay, connects easily and quickly. I think this is great. Very impressed with how responsive this is. As with anything, because it's a touchscreen, it is a bit fiddly to use while driving, but hopefully you set it up on Android Auto or CarPlay and then you don't have to change it. So I'm impressed with the responsiveness and the speed and the ease of use of this infotainment system and the whole design of the interior of this car. And then we've got the steering wheel. I've always loved the steering wheels that CUPRA makes. I think they're some of the best steering wheels for a brand that isn't a supercar, and I just love them. And we've got physical drive mode buttons to go in through the different drive modes, which I'll talk about when driving. We've got a CUPRA mode button. It's a small steering wheel. It's got a perforated design in the driving area, so you feel very sporty when you're driving it. It's got the CUPRA logo in the middle. I just really, really like this. It does, however, have capacitive buttons on the steering wheel, which are quite easy to set off. This is exactly like on the Q4 e-tron and on the ID4 and ID5. Nothing different. You get used to it. It does have feedback as well on here, which you don't get on some of the other cars. That works for me. We've got paddles here, so you can use the regen braking, you can adjust those. And as far as how do you change gear or go forwards and backwards, because there's nothing in the middle here. On the right hand side, we have it here to go forwards and backwards for gear selection. And on the left, we have our lights and everything else that we need up here. We have a head-up display on this, the V2 model, and we've got Sennheiser speakers, which sound really, really good. But my favorite thing about this is at night. When you drive at night, this whole area lights up, and it just looks incredible. One of the coolest features in this car is the amazing ambient lighting, which I absolutely love. It's all over the car, on the dashboard here, down the side, and as you can see, they're not normal lights. They're little symbols which kind of look a bit like arrows, and they're lit up behind, and it's the same on the top here. The light comes out from behind here and reflects on. And what about how you control it? You can go into the menu, click on lighting, and you go straight there. I can have liquid, which is a blue effect. I can have pulse, which goes yellow, and there's a couple of seconds between them changing, so you've got a bit of drama there. We've got electrified, which is cool. Speed, which is red. And then my favorite is this one here, which has got different colors which change. It's green at the top, and then it sort of goes to purple at the back. I can also set my own colors pretty simply. All I have to do is go into here, click on settings, and I can change my color to whatever I want. If I want in orange, we have it in orange, and of course we can adjust the brightness. Here we go, we can adjust the brightness like that. So I really like this. I think this is very cool. It's a really interesting application of the lighting in this car. Overall, I love this interior. It really impresses me. When you get in a car, you want to feel special, not necessarily just from the outside, but from the inside. And one of the ways that the recent Audis I've had have been lacking, including my RS3, is I've got in it and it's not felt special. This feels special. At the start of this video, I asked, how does this car compare to its brothers, to its cousins, whatever you want to call the Q4 e-tron and the ID4 and 5, and also the ENIAC? Well, you know what? This feels very much like a cross between the Audi and the VW. I mean, I suppose that shouldn't be surprised, because that's what a Cupra is in a way. It's a bit more funky, a bit more stylish, and more fun than its Volkswagen brothers, and not as serious as Audi. But there are bits in here which are taken from all. The infotainment system is like the ID4 and 5, not like the Q4 e-tron. The steering wheel, however, is more like the Q4 e-tron. It's not got that weird hexagonal shape, but it's feeling like that. It's got that same quality to it. The interior is like nothing else at all. It's just something on its own. And what about the driving? Well, when you're driving this car, first of all, I have the same complaint I do on my own Q4 e-tron. Is in normal drive mode, without using the regen braking, the brake pedal isn't great. It is quite a long way you have to press on it before you start to get the car actually braking, and I don't like that. Now the way around that is you put it into B mode, into the regen braking mode, and then it will automatically use the electric motors to slow the car down as well as the brakes. Now because it's able to do that, now the brakes feel good. And so I like to drive this in B mode. I don't like to drive it in a normal mode, just like the Q4 e-tron. Now, you might get used to that. It may be something which doesn't bother you. That's my tip. Drive it in the regen B mode and not in normal D mode. Let's talk about handling and how it drives. Well, we've got 286 horsepower on this car. The fastest model has over 300, so we are not the fastest, but we're not the slowest. That's a pretty good amount of horsepower. And we've got these cool drive mode buttons on the steering, which I really, really like. If you hit them, you then go into performance mode, into Cupra mode, or into individual, you can set up, or into range mode. Now in range mode, it tells me with 37% of charge, I have 100 miles. In comfort mode, it tells me I've got 98 miles. In performance mode, it tells me I've got 97 miles. In Cupra mode, it gives me 97 miles. So there isn't much actual difference between CUPRA drive, range, comfort in terms of the physical range, which is different to some other cars that I've driven where you've seen much bigger differences. The EV6 had around 8 or 9 miles between the performance mode and the range mode, so that's interesting. We also have the CUPRA mode button on the side here, which will put you straight into CUPRA mode, which then gives you that full 286 horsepower, and it's fast. When you put your foot down, it goes fast. Now it's a rainy day and I will test the 0 to 60 time in a minute, so keep watching. Now in terms of how it handles, let's go around a roundabout and see how precise steering is. So I like this. This is really quite good. I'm turning the steering wheel and it's very pointy at the front. That's great. Let me put my foot down. We're in CUPRA mode. It's very responsive in CUPRA mode. If we go into range mode, you can feel it kind of holds back a bit. Comfort mode feels very similar to range mode. Performance gives you that boost, but you put it into CUPRA and it gives you even more. So that does make a difference. CUPRA does make a real difference there in how you're driving, and not at the expense of too much range as well. I mean, like I said, we're talking 3 miles range between range mode and CUPRA mode. So actually you can drive in a performance mode in this car, not worry so much about your range getting cut off, which is something which happens with other cars. Very, very comfortable to drive. The suspension is good. There's lots of bumps in this road and it's going over them like really they're not there. I'm really not bothered by them at all, even though it's got really big wheels, really sporty wheels. So I'm really impressed with that, but it doesn't feel bouncy. It feels kind of stiff, but stiff and comfortable. So it's got a good combination of playfulness and comfort. Let's set the 0 to 60 time. Go, 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 go. It's raining, it's wet, it's slippery, but let's see how quickly we can do it in 5.41 seconds. Well, CUPRA, you have done it very, very fast. Well done. This car for me is actually my choice of cars in the middle of that range for VW. Yes, the Audi is a bit more refined on the inside. Yes, the Audi's a bit more classier looking, but this is just incredible. Like the design, the interior, the standard features, the technology, the way you stand out, and at a really, really good price. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying £47,000 or £53,000 is cheap, but when you look at what you get, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. This is a really, really compelling package, and one which I would certainly look at. And if CUPRA keep doing this, very soon they're going to get more of a cult following than RS and M and AMG. I promise you that.